Hey there, Shu here. Welcome to my weapon review where I give you the high level details so you can determine if a weapon is something you want to go for. Real quick before we hop into the weapon, thank you for watching the video. If you like these videos, please drop a like and subscribe. It means the world to me. Let's also have a discussion. Tell me what you think about Braytech Werewolf and what you think the strengths and weaknesses are. Personally, I love this auto, but you might think otherwise. Also, if you have any other recommendations, please let me know in the comments and I'll be sure to jump on the opportunity. I'll confess now, I have a personal love for the gun. Back in Warmind, and the gun was just called Braytech Werewolf, that was my go-to for anything. Granted, I was pretty novice at the game and there were different guns that were better to chase, but Winterwolf was one of my faves. Fast forward to 2019, a clone of the gun came out called Braytech Werewolf in the Festival of the Lost. At the time, I was pretty stoked. I could pull my favorite gun again with random rolls and I could try to hunt for something that I loved. The problem was, precision autos were in a totally bad spot and there were infinitely better auto rifle options to choose from. Things like the Monte Carlo and Arc Logic just came out, and not only that, in Crucible there were still 150 round per minute hand cannons. It wasn't a good option to use against a spare rations or even 600 RPM autos, which were super dominant for a bit of time as well. Fortunately, last season, if I recall correctly, Precision's got a neat little buff, making the archetype a contender TTK-wise with adaptive frames. Does that mean that the gun is good? Well, after a bit of play with the gun, I could say that it's okay. It's not bad, but it's not good either. There are better guns out there, but the problem is exactly that. It's a precision frame auto rifle, and even in the auto rifle category, all precision frames aren't really in the limelight right now. But that isn't to say that Braytech can't perform in some respects. We'll get into it later in the video, but just stick with me and then we'll point out the elephant in the room later. Let's go ahead and dive into different precision frames and you'll see what I mean. You have several options for precision frames: Braytech Werewolf, The Number, Shadow Price, Horror Story, Seventh Seraph, and Tiger Spite. Looking at these guns, surprisingly Braytech is number 2, and not really that far off. The only thing to be beaten by is Shadow Price in stability, handling, reload speed, and recoil. And of course there's the caveat that Shadow Price can roll with Adept Masterworks, so it's further buffed in that regard. But talking base stat wise, the Braytech excels in ranged combat, increased mag size, and aim assist values according to Light GG. And with this weapon it gets interesting. Range wise, I'm seeing myself engage from further, and with the perk combo that I'm using, which I'll show you in a bit, you'll understand why I was able to consistently engage from further away. In the meantime, let's talk about weapon perks. Perk wise, it's pretty standard, nothing eye-catching, but there are some perks that are serviceable. For barrel perks, we have some neat choices like Hammerforged Rifling and Small Bore. Hammerforged Rifling bumps the range up to 81, making this gun's effective range to a little over 29 meters, which makes this gun comparable to a base palindrome. Pretty cool. Small Bore drops the range to 28.9 meters, but the stability of the gun increases to 53, making it a lot easier to manage the kick of the gun. Pretty ideal for a precision to land all your shots. Magazine perks include high caliber rounds and ricochet rounds. High cal increases the range by 5 and adds flinch to enemy guardians. Overall it's good, especially if you're going to be in the same range as hand cannons, anything to throw them off their game. Ricochet rounds is good. Not only do you have the same range buff as high cal, but you get an additional 9 stability, so good for autos, especially for landing those easier precision hits. Your bullets will also ricochet off walls and floors, so that's pretty nice too. The last 2 perk columns are what takes the gun's feel to another level. Dynamic Sway Reduction. Improves accuracy and stability while holding down the trigger. After 0.6 seconds, you greatly increase the accuracy and you almost negate the effects of bloom. Along with that, it also adds 9 stability over time. In-air accuracy is still pretty bad unless you use an Icarus grip. This perk makes the gun into a laser beam, constantly landing hits where you put them. Highly recommend. Under Pressure. Improved accuracy and stability after the magazine goes below 50%. Accuracy can go from 25 to 50% improvement and add up to 20% added stability over time. Pretty insane too. Much like Dynamic Sway, it's the same premise. It's just that the improvement is at the opposite end of the magazine versus an overall bump. For the final perk column, we have Swashbuckler. Since Kill Clip doesn't roll on this weapon anymore, this is your only damage increasing perk. 1 kill gives a 6.6 damage buff, and a melee can give you a 33.3 damage buff. This perk is good, especially if you're laning, or if you get the melee kill. Elemental Capacitor. Increased stats based on the currently equipped subclass. I would personally use this with Void or Stasis. Void increases its stability by 18, which is an insane bump. Stasis controls recoil direction by 20 and adds a similar strafing effect that Killing Wind gives. Overall, it's a good perk. Tap the Trigger. Grants 25 stability and a 10% increase in accuracy for 0.6 seconds. Refreshes immediately after not firing. In tandem with Dynamic Sway, your gun will always have increased accuracy and stability. Along with that, it's a good perk for initiating gunfights. Eye of the Storm. This perk has been pretty controversial. Some people in the community swear by it, others would rather look the other way. Personally, I'm on the side that can really see the benefits. Increase accuracy and handling after going below 150 HP. Good perk to have mid-gunfight to get more accuracy out of the gun when it's important. And finally, Vorpal Weapon. Increases damage by 15% against bosses, vehicles, and guardians when their super is active. Good perk to shut down super guardians. A good choice. Let's go ahead and talk about the roll that I was using in the video. And this one has me feeling good. Fluted barrel, high caliber rounds, dynamic sway, Eye of the Storm. On top of that, a stability masterwork. This is a very consistent gun. Added range and stability means that I can land my shots easier and further away. Adding the benefits of dynamic sway and Eye of the Storm together during a gunfight means that I have super high aim assist. The stability masterwork also means that I have an additional recoil control. With an effective range of 28.8 meters, I love this roll. Like I said, it's consistent and it gets the job done. It's kinda hard to talk about the God roll. There are just so many perks that add accuracy and stability. If I were to personally hunt for a God roll, it would be one of these perks. Definitely small bore and ricochet rounds, and a range masterwork. The range gets bumped to a hardy 92, making this effective range to be at 31 meters. Stability landing at 62 due to ricochet rounds at small bore means that it's doing the job of consistency. These perks vary, but either dynamic sway or under pressure. That stability and accuracy is too valuable to leave out in PvP. And this is where it gets a little bit personal, because it depends on what you prefer. You can pick Swashbuckler or Vorpal to prioritize super shutdown and damage, but if you're looking for consistency, Tap the Trigger, Eye of the Storm, and Elemental Capacitor. Personally, I would want Tap the Trigger. My point being, there are a lot of perks out there, so explore a bit and pick what you want. I'm going to be hunting a Swash or a Vorpal just in case, because I already have a dynamic sway Eye of the Storm roll. But before we conclude the video, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Precision frames, although there was a buff, are barely up to par with other archetypes. Adaptive frames also have a TTK value of 0.8, but are more forgiving to use. Not only that, there are better autos to be using in the first place. I'm talking about Scathelock, Gnawing Hunger, and the fan favorite, The Last Breath. I may have a personal connection to Braytech, but that will never deny the fact that you can have guns like Last Breath that run the same barrel and mag perks, but you can run a variety of perks for both PvE and PvP. Gnawing Hunger has a ton of damage perks, and Scathelock has been a hot topic lately, an even contender with Gnawing Hunger and Last Breath. I asked several people about their thoughts, and they all mentioned that if they were going to pick an auto rifle, they were going to pick guns like Gnawing Hunger, Scathelock, and The Last Breath most of the time. There's just no incentive to pick up a precision auto. That's the elephant in the room. Werewolf is an upper tier precision auto, but there are just better options to pick. But this doesn't mean that Werewolf is a bad gun either. I love the look of the gun and it's been a personal favorite of mine for a long time, but that's my personal opinion. Fact of the matter is that there are just better stuff out there, and that's not even talking about the other meta weapons like 140 hand cannons that take the kinetic slot like Thorn and the King of Kings Ace of Spades. Take this info as you will. In conclusion, Braytech Werewolf is a great precision frame auto rifle that highlights itself in its range and stability that can be taken advantage of. I love this gun, and I have for a long time. The thing is a laser beam when you have the right perks and has the longest range of precision frame auto rifles. But the fact of the matter is there are just better weapons out there. Should you hunt this gun? Personally, I would because of the attachment, but separating myself from my personal bias, I think that there are better guns to look for. I would say this is a middle of the pack weapon and a higher ranked precision auto rifle, but it's still a precision auto rifle. Thank you all for watching. Tell me what you think about Braytech and what you think the strengths and weaknesses are. Is it a good gun? Is it bad? Let me know. Like I said earlier, if you have any other recommendations, let me know in the comments. Take it easy, Guardians.